Very good afternoon to everybody. This is the second day of our presentations, and two students are giving the presentations. And today you are going to make your presentations on the literature published between 1950 and 2000. This is the evening slot of the second day, and in this session we will have presentations by these students and the topics also. Let us see. Uh, uh, Janvi will make presentation on in-memory of W.B.Yeats, Jheel on queer theory in W.H.Auden's September 1, 1939, Khushboo on George Orwell's 1984, Mayuri on review of Ranjan Bosch. Check the spelling there, Mayuri, Ranjan, review of Ranjan Bosch's article on waiting for Godot. Uh, what is that article on? It is on Indian philosophy and waiting for Godot. So make that title look full, so we get a sense of what you are going to read in your presentation. Nehalba on 1984, Orwell's characters and things need to work on the title. 1984, Orwell's characters and themes, little bit awkward title. Nidhi on 1984, a dystopian novel. Nilay on existentialism, waiting for Godot. Nirav on 1984, novel by Orwell. Purpose of Newspeak. Sangita on Musee. D.B.Yeats Arts by W.H.Auden, the poem by W.H.Auden. And Vachchalata on Elegy on death poem. Elegy as death poem. Elegy as death poem expressing with comparison. Okay, so these are the things, and you all have submitted your presentations in Google Classroom. You are evaluated on this criterion, on subject knowledge, on organization of your arguments, elocution, mechanics of writing, eye contact, body language, your enthusiasm, citation of sources, the quality sources, whether you are taking and integrating it very well or not, and your style of documenting your sources. So on these parameters, your presentation is going to be evaluated. And let us start with the first uh, presentation of this slot. So Janvi, you can start now. Yes, you can start.
Good afternoon. I am Nakum. Today's my topic is in memory of W.B. Yeats. It's my personal detail. W.B. In memory of W.B. of Yeats, written by W.H.Auden. Detail of the poet. Weston Hugh Auden was born in New York, England, on February 21st, 1907. He moved he moved to Birmingham during childhood and was educated at the Christ Church, Oxford. He was a young man. He influenced by of the poetry of the Thomas Hardy and Robert Force, as well as William Beck, Emily Dickens, but there are Emily uh, Hopkins and the Old English Ferrars. At Oxford, he prolified as the poet of immediately apparent, and he formed long life friendship with flow writer Stephen Spender and Christopher Asher Wood. He won the Pulitzer Prize of the Poetry for his 1947 long poem, "The Age of NXT." Age of Anxiety, the title of which became a popular para describing the modern era. Other information about the poet, Auden's career has undergone much revolution in recent uh, decades, while some critics have connected that he wrote his funniest work when he political and sentimental were less focused by the religious and philosophy. Other defense is the latter material has the work of a highly original and mutual intel. Many critics to essence of the Auden career by the National Book Committees, which awarded him the National Medal of Literature in 1967. Auden poetries. He illuminated our lives and the times with grace, wit, and validity. His work branded by the moral and ideological fires of our age, breathe with equalness, uh, pres- uh, pres- uh, perception, and intellectual power. In the Auden poem, the In Memory of the W.B. Yeats, he used the elegy. What is the elegy? In the modern literature, says the a poem of the serious reflection, typically laid for the dead, and in the Greek and the Latin, whereas the elegy of the poem written in elegiac couplets is notable by Gallids and properties. What is the elegy? An elegy is the poem's serious reflection, especially on the mourning the loss of someone who died. Elegies are defined by their subject's matter and don't have to follow any specific form in theme of the matter, rhyme or structure. In the use of the modern elegy in the poem, the for the modern and contemporary poets, their elegy is a poem that deal with the subject of the death or mortality, but has not set form, matter, or structure.
You have to check internet in that. I think that is disconnected. That one is disconnected. So check internet. Hmm. So now it is come. No, internet has restored back. Now here you got it for from Namo Wi-Fi. This also Wi-Fi. LAN is not working. Connect with Wi-Fi is working in that. LAN is connected. Okay. Now connect LAN again in that. So I think there is a network issue there. Yes. Now it is connected now again, but you have to join StreamYard again. Open that link, StreamYard. Okay, now we are getting connected. Yes, now you can.
Visible? In the third and second part of this poem, the poem that the poet asks the earth of to revise that as an honored guest to body, implied as its poetry, lies there meanwhile the dogs of Europe bark, and the humans continue their intellect disgrace. But that poet is to follow right to the bottom of the night, despite of the dark side of humanity, somehow to pursuing other the rejoice in acceptance, despite the human unsuccess. The poet can sign out though the views and the distress. Though one poetry is a healing function that although life prison and the teacher they free men how to prize life anyway. In the poem, use the Auden. The central theme is the elegy, and the other of the life after death, humanity of human power of poetry and humanity of a condition. In the first of the stanza is the Auden describe the death and life Yeats poem in the traditional elegy and after the third stanza is the modern elegy and the some use of the modern frame in the poem. This citation. In this poem related to death, and elegy means that who man people is died. So related and consider the memory of the W.V. life and death related to the W.B.Yeats. So consider Auden is elegy.
Janvi, my question is how Auden is portraying Yeats in this elegy poem.
No answer.
The poem is on that, so you should be able to reply that. No? It's a very simple question. It's in memory of W.B. Yeats, so not a difficult question. It's not prepared well. So concentrate on studies. That is, the lack of concentration leads to such a kind of a thing that you are not able to answer simple questions also. If it is difficult, we can understand, but this is very directly pertaining to your topic and so simple. Then also, so work hard, concentrate on your studies. Okay, next.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Zil Barad, and my today's presentation from the paper "The 20th Century Literature, World War II to End of Century" is Queer Theory in W.H. Auden's poem September 1, 1939. This is information, and the question I'm trying to answer in this presentation is: can we decodify any underlying theme in September 1, 1939 through autobiographical reading of the poet? September 1, 1939 is a date which is the title of the poem on which the Poland invasion by Hitler was done. This is primarily is a war poem. It reflects the mood of Europe on the outbreak of World War II. This poem is talking about the dishonesty of government during the World War II. Another interpretation, as then the dishonesty and manipulation of government can lead to war, is theme of the lack of acceptance of homosexuality in society. So, which discusses the theory queer theory. So, according to M.H. Abraham in the glossary of the literary terms, Queer theory is often used to designate the combined area of gay and lesbian studies, together with the theoretical and critical writing about all modes of variance such as cross-dressing, bisexuality, and transsexuality from society's normative model of sexual identity, orientation, and activities. What is We will discuss about the history related to queer theory. Teresa de Lauretis was the first to organize the conference on queer theory in 1990. Gender studies were inadapted by Michael Foucault, who analyzed all the sexual identities. Informal use of this word and theory began with Florida Anzaldúa and other scholars in 1990 by the influence from Michael Foucault. The early queer theorists are Eve, Michael Warner, Lauren Berland, Judith Butler, Andrew Reich, and David Halperin. Now we will discuss the autobiographical elements of the poem W.H.Auden. We are not discussing the complete autobiography or a life, but some parts which can prove us that there can be some elements of queer theory in his poetry. When he was studying in Oxford University, he had some feelings for a male undergraduate student which were unexpressed while studying. He also tried to develop some heterosexual traits. He tried. It means that he had homosexual and tried to overcome heterosexual. He wrote six love poems which were based on his own experience, and he wrote these poems in foreign language so that it could be understood by very less number of people, and the poems were like Low Like Love, Funeral Blues. In 1939, in the League of American Poets, he met Chester Kalman, and they were lovers till their death. But we find that he got married to the woman Erika Mann only so that she can escape from the Nazis in Germany. He had both the relationship, a marriage relationship and also homosexual relationship with Chester Kalman. These were the autobiographical elements of the poet related to his homosexual relationship. Now, duality in the poem. For example, the metaphor of light and dark is used in the poem. The light is for the people, the area of society who are ready to embrace the homosexual lifestyle, and the dark are the area of society who are intolerant and look down at homosexuality. The another lines, waves of anger and fear circulate over the bright and the darkened lands of the earth. Here, the anger and fear can be read as the anger and fear of the normal society, that is so called normal society, towards the homosexual society. Further, the lights must never go out. These lines suggest that the poet is wishing that the people from the society who are ready to accept the homosexual relationship should never leave the society. Someone in the society should be present who is with society in this conservative direction. Then scholarship can unearth the whole offense from Luther until now. Luther is an historical context taken by the poet. Martin Luther was one who shared his ideology with the Hitler, and Hitler and Luther both were against the homosexuals. Also, Nijinsky and Diaghilev, they were having a homosexual relationship in the real life. That reference is also taken through the line, is true to the normal heart. These two writers who are having a homosexual relationship are called to be the normal hearts. Then, error breed in the bond of each woman and each man craves what it cannot have. Here, error breed are the people are can be read as the people who are having homosexual relationship. Craves what it cannot have means they want to have a homosexual relationship, having a want to have a partner of the same sex, but they are not able to have a homosexual relationship. are not able to have it. They are craving for it. Are called as error breed, where it is not their own mistake, it is not an error, it is natural. Then another, the dense commuters come repeating their morning woe. I will be true to the wife, I will concentrate more on my work. This is the one type of a romantic truth, which is romantic promise, which is loved by everyone. Here we can read as the homosexual society or the people who are having homosexual relationship are trying to take themselves towards heterosexual relationship and pushing themselves to be true to their wife and concentrate on their work else than this homosexual society. Romantic lie in the brain, as we discussed before. It is a romantic lie. Their brain is washed to have and live a heterosexual life. They are told the lie that they are heterosexual and they should behave like that. Then all I have is a voice to undo the folded lie. Here poet himself is telling that he is having a voice, he is able to write and show the views to the society through his poetry. He would say and try to unfold lie to the homosexual society that they are heterosexual. He wants to undo that lie in their brain. Then of Eros and of dust. Here, Eros is a god of love in the Greek mythology. The god's reference is taken, which shows that he wants the equality in love and sexuality for everyone. In the conclusion, I would like to say that yes, through autobiographical element, we are able to find the hidden meaning from the poetry, which is of queer theory. And this is contracting to the T.S. Eliot's theory of impersonal in the tradition and individual talent about saying that the poet should not have the personal emotions or a personal life in their poetry or in their work. They should keep their personal emotions away from the poetry. That is what T.S. Eliot is saying, and which is contracted by the order. The Blair in Poetic Art of W.H.Auden is also saying that Auden's poetry attempts to involve the reader and create a self critical dialogue with a new perspective on himself, and is attempting to accomplish this by creating generality in his poetry. Auden wants to lead a variety of readers to respond to his poetry in their own way. These are my works cited, and thank you.
Yes, questions?
So,
Have,
Jheel,
have you
what do
typed,
you?
typed yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
What
okay.
do you
Just a
think?
minute. Yeah, just a minute. Let me. Okay. Now you can.
What do you think about this queer theory if it is interpreted in Indian literature?
About the queer theory, we find that there is also some Indian mythology in which such type of characters are seen. I don't remember the specific characters just now, but I I just have in my background that we do have in Indian literature and Indian mythology also such type of characters on which queer theory can be applied. Sorry for Sorry, sir, I'm repeating the answer.
Who is asking? Next one.
Okay, the answer to Vachchalata is I don't remember completely the characters in Indian mythology or literature which can apply queer theory, but there are some characters on which it can be applied. But just now I don't remember anyone.
My question is, what is the message of September 1st?
In September 1st, 1939, the poem is about the situation of the America when there was an outbreak of World War II. there is no such message or a moral, but poet is just describing the situation of America, how America is staying neutral, how no one is going to support support to Poland, and how everyone is living their life. They want. They are not affected of the war happening in the other part in the world.
There is very low network, I think it seems. Check the network in that. The picture is very blurred. Camera picture. Are many windows open or? And by the time we come to the next one, a few feedback here for this. So this in this PPT, I am sharing the screen also. Will yes, still it is. I will check this. Okay. Now in this, it is good way to start with a question. Okay, so the question is good, so that also like others also can see that you can also start with some question which you are trying to answer that you can do. Then when you are referring to this all things, for example, Teresa. So Teresa should be cited, Michel Foucault should be cited, or if it is taken from somewhere, then you have to write that as mentioned by so and so article or a place, Teresa Lauretis was the first to organize conference on queer theory. That is the way of writing. So from where you got this information, that should be clearly given when you give that information. And even the autobiographical elements, studying in Oxford, so you have to say according to so and so, or as mentioned in this book, or as studied by so and so person. This is for everybody. Okay, so how to cite, how to make linguistic markers when you cite sources. What are linguistic markers? I normally generally say according to, but it is not only according to, as mentioned by so and so work, as studied by so and so person, published here, as researched by another one, or as written in this book by so and so. Many way you can think of linguistic markers, and then you put that. So from where are you getting that idea that you have to keep on writing when you discuss? And along with that, if you are adding something of your own, then that should be added. Something of your own also you have to add along with what the other person has said. Otherwise, it will be like somebody has said and you presented. What is your way of looking? Are you giving one or two more example? Are you giving a slightly a different interpretation to that? Or are you extending that interpretation little bit in the same direction or not? So these are those things which can be added along with this. And there are the citations. I think Blair only was visible in in-text citation. Nobody else is visible in in-text citations. From the last list, Abraham is visible. Okay, Abraham. Auden's poem is there. Then who is the writer? This Abbey book is again book selling website. Abbey book is not sorry, it is a book selling website. This see this link I have shared here. This is where you have to purchase the book, like Amazon. This is another website where the books are sold. So that is not to be cited unless you are doing study on selling and purchasing of books. Then you can use. Otherwise, you can't read entire book here. So you have to go to where the book is. So that again is like Amazon citation. Blair is found, then Eliot is in text. Was it mentioned anywhere? Eliot is there, okay. He has said this, okay, fine. Then this Peter Edgerly, Virchow, or Charles Osborne, Olivia Waxman. That all should be in text and this here. So this title is work cited. It means that these are cited inside the paper. So they are coming here. Full detail is here. There is a brief detail. Here there is a full detail. So that should come directly in that discussion also. Okay, fine. Yes, now you can start.
Good afternoon all. Today I will present George Orwell's 1984. 1984 is written by George Orwell. 1984 is a darkly satirical political novel by George Orwell. The story takes place in nightmarish dystopia in which an ever surveillant states enforce perfect conformity among citizens through introduction Fear, Lies, and Ruthlessness Punishment. It was first published on 8 June 1949, is Orwell's most famous work and is the inspiration of the word Orwellian. The novel introduced the concept of the ever present, all seeing Big Brother, the notorious room. 101 the thought police who use telescreen telescreen and the fictional language Newspeak. These are the terms in use in 1984. Telescreen. It was the most visible uh, of the party, and it's monitoring the people. Thought police. It was the well overwhelming control. Uh, it was the overwhelming control that the government of Oceania has over the citizen. 2 minutes ahead. The period of that day, the party's member to gather and to watch the clip which enemy and militaries uh, wep- the brotherhood. It was the totalitarian government vaporized the vaporized. It was the unperson. It's someone he has been vaporized. The person murdered. The person is secretly murdered and removed from the society. Insok. Insok is a symbol of English socialism. Double thing. To know and to not know that the uh, con, outer party. The outer party is in members. The the members the members hold position of truth, but they are don't they aren't give they aren't decision maker in government. Airstrip one. It was the largest nation of the Oceania in a party. In a party is a small group and run in Oceania. Proles. The party proles relative the truthness. It was the terms of in 1984. The world 1984. The world described in 1984 as striking and deliberating parallels to the Stalin Soviet Union. Notably, the themes of betrayed revolution, which Orwell puts to so famously in Animal Farms, the sub, uh, subordination of individuals and to the party, and the extensive and industrial use of propaganda, especially as it influenced the main character of the book, Winston Smith. The ministries of Oceania. Oceania's four ministries are housed in huge pyramidal structures, displaying the three slogans of the party of their sides. The first is the Ministry of Peace. Miniplex is the Newspeak name for the Ministry of Peace, which concern itself with making war. Second is the Ministry of Planety. Mini Planety in Newspeak. It is the ministry involved the maintaining ubiquitous poverty in Oceania. Third one is the Ministry of Truth. Mini Truth is the propaganda arm of the Ignosok state. They distribute the leaflets, prono, and of course the telescreens. Winston Smith spends his daytime hours correcting historical records in minute. For the Ministry of Love, Mini Love, it's called Mini Love, is a gigantic windowless building devoted to torture and brutality, the home of the thought of police. Uh, it is surrounded by a maze of barbed wire and machine gun tower. In this 1984 literary device, uh, the Big Brother used a symbol in 1984. In this novel, writer used satire for description of a party member as a beetle with short legs, a fat face, shifty little eyes. The flashback of the novel, uh, Winston's memories, in the writer used foreshadowing for the diary, parody of the 1941 for freedoms. The structure of the government resembled a parody in reverse of the famous 1941 USA States of the Union speech by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In the speech before the assembled Congress, the president outlined four freedoms. The first is the freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. The second is the freedom of every person to worship God in his own way, everywhere in world. The third one is freedom for want, which translated into world terms mean economic understanding which will secure to every nation a healthy peacetime life for its inhabitants everywhere in the world. The fourth one is freedom from fear, which translate into world term means a worldwide reduction of armaments to such a point and in such a thorough fashion that no nation will be in a position to commit an act of physical aggression against any neighbor anywhere in the world. The three slogans of the party, visible everywhere, are war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. While by definition, these words are antonyms. In the world of 1984, the world is in a state of constant war. No one is free and everyone is ignorant. Through the universality of the extremes, the terms become meaningless and the slogan becomes axiomatic. They echo the slogan "Erbit match frey" on the gates of Auschwitz and other Nazi concentration camps. The slogan are obvious, non-sequitur, begins past of the as truth by totalitarian power. This is my reference.
So, Khushboo, my question is, what is the main idea behind Newspeak?
Uh, Newspeak is a Newspeak uh, Newspeak idea due to information and uh, information of action of Newspeak is a party's idea and information about government of America. So
Khushboo, how does the 1984 relate to contemporary politics and society?
1984 is a novel about politics and government. So and uh, in the government ruling in America, it was so it was related to contemporary politics.
Okay, who is next now?
Hello, myself Pandya Mayuri, and this is our second semester, second day, paper number 107. Hello everyone, and my topic was an article by Ranjan Ghosh Waiting for Godot, and he was interpreted with an Indian philosophy or Hindu philosophy. This is introduction of author Samuel Beckett. He wrote that Waiting for a Godot, and Ranjan Ghosh was made an article on this play. This is about that article. Ranjan Ghosh was wants to do that the Indian how to Indian philosophy in Waiting for Godot. In a Waiting for Godot, we can see that at the end there is hope, and sometimes somebody speak that this is hope for a positiveness. Somebody speak that no, waiting is that meaningless thing. But Ranjan Ghosh wants to interpret that with Indian philosophy and Indian or a Hindu philosophy, some way this is very positive way, and Ranjan Ghosh use many Sanskrit word and many philosophical terms which he was used on that, and some of them is a Buddhist theory in a philosophy. The concept of waiting in Godot is that brought into line with several pilgrims from Indian philosophical thought. The relation of Godot with Vladimir and Astragon, that the unauthentic reflectivity within that contingent situation, the value and ethics of the situation wall, the explore and possible new lines of inquiry that open, drawing on the complex philosophical tradition of karma, dharma, and the Indian value system. This article collocates this issue in the very act of waiting. The waiting is then interpreted as the being less absurd, less nihilistic, and more positive and authentic. Indeed, this article seeks to reorientate our approach toward the waiting for a Godot. This is article which we can see that this is the new way of thinking. That waiting for Godot we can read an other way also. We can read with an Hindu philosophy. That is the positive way, less nihilistic and less absurd, circumscribing buckets waiting for a Godot and philosophy of waiting within a several intriguing parameters of Hindu philosophy can be challenging and a celebrity of experience, not just because unearthing a new interpretive space, but also for the critical termity, termity for that this venture and entails given buckets undersues associate with an Indian philosophical system. And this is that image of then recurvation in that Hindu philosophy also, and our mythology also in that. We can say that in a Punarjanam system. And this is if you are interest in that cartooning, this is that cartooning image of waiting for a Godot, because I am more interested in a cartooning, so I can put this image. The light of Hindu philosophy, the Godot denied world of the play can be categorized by pramada, alas, and nindra as mentioned in the Gita. In Gita, Krishna was described that pramad, alas, and nindra, and the light of Hindu philosophy. That is this category waiting for Godot. Ranjan Ghosh wants to interpret. It is the drug state reeking with an incomprehensibility of the real, near misguided obscenity. So, intel feeling for the situation in the place speaks that tamasic state, which is born in ignorance, it debut, delu- sorry, debuts from a tamasic state. This is that word of that Sanskrit, and this is the also that philosophical term appreciation, lacking usual use foundation and reciprocity, and this is the word which can aparasparam bhutam is in our Indian pronunciation. In English, is that aparasparam bhutam. We find at the certain stage in the drama a clear cognitive perception in the Rajasic state that is, however, void of unity and existence. There are three terms: Rajasic, Tamasic, and sorry, third was I can forget it, but I am also uploaded in my slide. There is the another article on that. The karmic potentialities in a waiting need to be carefully considered. Waiting promotes struggle and action, reaches outward and inward at the same time. Hindu philosophy would choose to believe that a more a being an outward manifestation. It should be a soul opening in invariation. Do not Vladimir and Estragon realize the end for fulfilling sentiments and moral reflectivity in their interaction with Pozo and Lucky? The subjective pathos, the uh, blanched thought avedya to reach the state of liberation, which I would qualify as the yukta and biyukta, thus are the bounded of a liberated state. I would prefer to look a Godot as a true self and waiting as an act for desiring. Meeting Godot would be realizing Godot, which is ideal, Atma Prapti or Atma Labha. For me, there is then inherently substantial integration to Godot being a Yukta, and also that in our Hindu philosophy there is the after death. We can see that some people wants to moksha and some people recarvation punarjan. There are two theories on that. And Ranjan Ghosh, this is a Godot, meeting a Godot. He can interpret with an Atma Prapti or Atma Labha. Atma Labha. Vladimir and Astragon cannot go for their have a wait for a Godot. They cannot hang themselves because Godot could be arriving anytime. They indecisiveness is not existential agma, but yukta and abhiyukta, thus which is integral to the Godot being within the Indian concept of value. They have cannot hang themselves, does not point to any pointlessness. They sigmatize existent, but to any underlying propagates of the becoming, where a value wait to be substituted thought the intervention of a karma and janama. Janana, the Bhayukta Dasa, which is the existential milieu of that whole act of waiting. And he was once to the two theory, Yukta and Abhayukta is both are a Buddhism philosophy. And he was compared with Hindu philosophy also and Buddhism also. And there is the another article. In this article, author wants to connect with Vladimir Astragon waiting for karma yoga and kal chakra and rajasic, tamasic and sattvic in three philosophical word also. And karma yoga and kal chakra both are in these first paragraph. Bartley raises the challenge of waiting about one of the drama's most iconic play by situating the Blink's seasoned experimentalism firmly it's a French context, showing how Dada surrealism and avant-garde influence bucket vision. This is that I am put in that Cambridge University, and another one was that universality in a waiting for a Godot. How that waiting for a Godot with Christianity also and Islamic also, and both are religions spread in a worldwide. So how can we interpret waiting for a Godot with a universal play? Those are my these are my work cited. And if we interpret our mythology according to my view, or waiting for Godot, is it a god? We can connect with a Ramayana. Shabri was waiting for a Ram. If Ram was a god or human, we are not going to that path, but she was waiting continuously for Ram. And one day Ram was arrived and she was happy. This is the happy ending. But we cannot go in depth. But if we go in a mythology, or we can connect Godot with a god. Thank you.
Questions? Yeah.
Mayuri, my question is, if waiting is karma, does it mean we are here just to wait? And if yes, then for what we are waiting?
According to Hindu philosophy, karma, we were waiting for a karma and we are waiting for a god. If we are going in a modern era, we are not waiting for a god, not at all for a karma. We are thrown this world because of we are doing something. We are continuously work on something or something at the end of our life.
Mayuri. How is waiting for a God, Godot relevant today?
I show one image in a cartoon. This is the waiting for some people are waiting for a new uh, slogan by given by politician, and they trust on them. One day our India become a very developed country. We are waiting for that. Technology developing and medical developing, in education developing. In nowadays waiting for a god, not for Godot. We are waiting for a developing. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nehalba. I'm presenting 1984 George Orwell. Main characters: Winston Smith, Julia Big Brother, Mr. Jerrington Smith. Winston Smith, a minor member of the ruling party in near future London. Winston Smith is a thin, paler, contemplative, intellectual, and fatalistic 39-year-old.
Winston hated the totalitarian control and the enforced representation that are characteristic of his government. He espoused revolutionary dream, Julia. Winston Lovell, a beautiful dark-haired girl working in the fictional department at the Ministry of Truth. Julia enjoys sex and claims to have had affair with many party members. Julia is a pragmatic and optimistic. Her rebellion against his party is small and personal for her own enjoyment. Big Brother. He never appeared in the novel and though he may not actually exist, Big Brother, the perceived ruler of Ocean in an extremely important figure. Winston look he seems posted of Big Brother's face, bearing the message Big Brother is watching you. Big Brother image is stamped on coins and broadcast of the unavoidable talent screen is uttered. Winston life and fills him with hatred and fascination. Mr. Charrington, an old man who runs a second-hand store in the Pearl district, kindly and encouraging. Mr. Charrington seems to share Winston's interest in the past. He also seems to support Winston's rebellion against the party and his relationship with Julia. Mr. Charrington is not as he seems. He is a member of the Thoughts Police. Sang, an intelligent, outgoing man who worked with Winston at the Ministry of Truth. Chang specialized in language. As the novel opens, he is a work on a new edition of the work Newspeak dictionary. Winston believes Sam is too intelligent to stay in the party's favor. Themes: the dangers of totalitarianism, psychological manipulation, physical control, loyalty, independence, and identity. The Dangers of Totalitarianism, 1984, is a political novel written with the purpose of warning readers in the West of the danger of totalitarianism government. Orwell designed 1984 to sound the alarm in Western nations still unsure about how to approach the rise of communism. In 1949, the Cold War had not yet escalated. Many American intellectuals supported communism. Psychological manipulation: the party barrages its subjects with psychological stimuli designed to overwhelm the mind's capacity for independent thoughts. The party undermines family structure by including children into organization called the Junior Spies. The party also forces individuals to suppress their sexual desire. Physical control: the party also controls the bodies of its subjects. The party constantly watches for any sign of disloyalty. A person's own nervous system becomes his greatest enemy. Winston himself comes to the conclusion that nothing is more powerful than physical loyalty. In 1984, the party seeks to ensure that the only kind of loyalty possible is loyalty to the party. The reader seems example for virtually every kind of loyalty. The relationship between customer uh, and merchant is prevalent as the wisdom learned that the man who has sold him the very tools of his resistance and independence was the members. Independence and identity: the party's primary tools for manufacturing the population is the control of history. They also control independence and loyalty. Winston does not know how old he is. He does not know whether he is married or not. He does not know whether his mother is alive or dead. All party members wear the same clothing, smoke the same brand of cigarette, drink the same brand of Jheel, and so forth. References. Thank you.
Your voice is very low. It is not even. We are not able to listen here also. So try to speak loudly. Try to shout little bit when you speak. I don't think anybody would have got any sense from what you have said. Okay, questions who are asking?
Nehal, according to you, which theme is the central theme of novel?
Independence, excellence, and the central themes of the novel.
How does the party maintains its power?
Need to work hard. This is Nehalba. Need to work hard and prepare well. This not fair thing. Now you should be able to manage everything on your own. It is shared, but now you have to switch over to that slide. Which page is coming there? Are you seeing? Share this tab instead.
Yes.
Click on that. Now play the presentation. Slideshow. Every day people will not help you. Okay, now it is visible. Yes, you can start now.
Today is the second day of presentation. Today my presentation topic is 1984 as a dystopian novel. This is my personal information. Introduction. The world of pessimism, control of domination is the most despised world to live in. George Orwell is famous for creating such a world in his novel 1984. This dystopian novel creates a sense of warning to the readers who consider this novel as a prophecy of the future. This post-war novel consisted of elements that divided the world into different realms of the constant fight with the realm of technology. The novel presents a protest against to the totalitarian abuse from the Big Brother. About the author, George Orwell was an author of the 20th century. He is famous for his polemical generalism and his criticism of totalitarianism. His opposition of totalitarianism and the support for a democratic socialism gets reflected on his writing. George Orwell, in his essay Why I Am Right, wrote this line: every line of serious work that I have written since 1936 has been written directly and indirectly against totalitarianism and for the democratic socialism as I understand. Some of his work is written about the satire, utopia, and dystopia. 1984 is a dystopian novel which deals in the post-World War. This world is divided into spheres where everything is controlled by the superpower and the ruling class. In this novel, 1984, we seen the example of Big Brothers. What is dystopia? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, it is dystopia, a word very bad or unfair society in which there is a lot of suffering, especially an imaginary society in the future. Sometimes something terrible has happened, a description of such a society. Dystopian literature is from a speculative fiction that began as a response to the utopian literature. A dystopia is an immense community or society that is dehumanizing or frightening. A dystopia is an antony of a utopia, which is a perfect society. What is the defines the dystopian novel? While utopian novel shows what is the perfect society, and could look like dystopian novel discuss the hypothetical societies and show the opposite. Dystopian are societies rife with a problem like mass property, large scale crime, oppression, and surveillance. Dystopian fiction offer a vision of the future. Dystopias are society in a catalytic decline with characters who battle environment, ruin, technological control, and government depressions. Dystopian novel can challenge the reader to think differently about the correct social and political climate, and some instances can even inspire action. The characteristic of the dystopian fiction, the central theme of the novel, and the generally fall under this topic. First, the government control, environment destruction, technological control, survival, and loss of individualism. So now the topic has come. Okay, why 1984 is a dystopia? The dystopian novel explores the effect of oppression and totalitarianism in the individual psyche as well as how the individual fictional is a representative society. Winston Trouble, the literally the trusting in his memories illustrate the way of the party has corrupted his emotional life as well as his daily existence, asking the reader to question the nature of memory and individual consciousness by suggesting the Whitson is anciently complete because he can't remember whatever he or not his life was better to was hyper before the revolution. The book examined the importance of memory and creating a sense of itself. The dystopia is the place where people are not treated well and fairly, therefore making be a place where are full of fear and unhappiness. Dystopia is the total opposite of the utopia, is the discussed earlier on. George Orwell warns to how to greed and high power can lead to torching of an individual humanity. According to George Orwell novel, Oceania is divided especially three classes. One is inner party, outer party, and third is the proles. The first three classes, the inner party is ruling class, since are generally controlled to the third police, plus plus it maintain all the outer party members to be under control, close supervision, and this was mainly achieved through the advanced technological as the telescreen, while on the hand, the trolls were put in living the relative depression condition, but the funny thing is that they were not being monitored as the outer party member, and these all are were doing the order to start up a revolution of better and highly qualified people, both mentally and physically. George Orwell further the warns that is the people, the modern era, we should very much aware they alert to injustice that the dictator intend to enforce on us. He entries on mentally be mentioned to nobody belongs to anyone, and therefore we should not allow any person to tell about the what do or what not to do, especially if he against our own will. But still, he insisted that we should not allow anybody to control and manipulate our mind, and we book ends with Winston saying that he loves a big brother. Conclusion: the dystopian science fiction is the interesting as the proposed a narrative game about a certain exercise to conjecture. Thus, the author of dystopian work could be perceived as a reckless scientist who predict and encourage a possible word as the form of warning. When uncapable further, the imagine this further does not happen. Dystopian narrative would anti-clip not or encourage but to the talent people. This is my words.
Okay, questions. Who is asking? First question.
Nidhi, do you find any dystopian movie?
This our time. I'm not sure this is a dystopian movie or not, but we are connected. The movie Robot is a dystopian movie.
Nidhi, what is the name of the dystopian society in 1984?
So, Nidhi, you should be able to give answers. So it should not be like you sit down without giving any answer. Something you have to give. You can ask further clarification in the question, but without speaking anything, if you sit down, that is not fair.
Hello, I am Nilay Rathod, and my topic for today is existentialism in waiting for Godot. These are my information. As we know that waiting for Godot is is an absurd play, so that it is connected with theater of absurd. The term absurd is applied to a number of work in drama and prose fiction which have common view that the human condition is essentially absurd, and that this condition can be adequately represented only in work of literature that are themselves absurd. This definition is in the literary glossary of literary terms in and critic Martin Esslin, which he coined the term in his 1960 essay, the Theatre of Absurd. The essay began on focusing on five playwrights: Samuel Beckett, Arthur Adamo, and Eugene Ionesco. Esslin defined the word absurd with the quotation from Ionesco that absurd is that which has not purpose or goal or objective. And according to Camus, absurd is a life lived solely for its sake in a universe which is no longer made sense because there was no God to resolve the contradictions. The French philosopher Camus, in his essay Myth of Sisyphus, described that human situation is meaningless and absurd. So, like in his essay Myth of Sisyphus, he's describing that Sisyphus is whatever is doing that moving his boulder to top of the mountain is worthless, is meaningless. There is no meaning behind that. But even though he is doing that, just like our protagonist in this play are doing, like walking there and there, cursing themselves, and so and so. In his introduction to book, The Absurd Drama, Esslin wrote that the theater of absurd attack the comfortable certainties of religious or political orthodoxy. It aims to shock its audience out of complacency to bring it to face with harsh fact of human situation as this writer see it. But the challenge behind this message is anything but one despair. It is a challenge to accept that human condition as it is in all mystery and absurdity, and to bear it with dignity, nobly, responsibly, precisely because there are no solution to the mysteries of existence, because ultimately man is alone in this meaningless world. The shedding of easy solution of comforting illusions may be painful, but it leaves behind a sense of freedom and relief, and that is why, in a last resort, the theater of absurd does not provoke tears of despair but a laughter of liberation. Waiting for Godot is, as we know, that Waiting for Godot is a comedy and tragedy both, but through with comedy it also comes with the air of despair. As Esslin described it as one of the successful of post-war theater. The play is filled with word plays, meaningless dialogues. The character easily forget everything that is estragon, including their own identity. Their nonsensical lines, wordplay, and their action creates human. However, the humor is uncomfortably mixed with tragic content to make tragic comedy. Vladimir and Astragon talk about hanging themselves. Later in the play, Astragon refers to billions of others who have been killed. This type of performance were considered terrible in classical drama. All this can make a discomfort among audience, and they won't know how to react to the absurd mixture of comedy and tragedy. In Act 1, Vladimir says one daren't even laugh anymore, and his comment couldn't apply well to the audience of Bucket, because whatever they are doing, like action, they are talking about killing someone in the past. So, and then like he's talking like no one is there to laugh. So obviously, audience wouldn't understand how to laugh on that. Existentialism. According to Oxford Dictionary, existentialism is a theory that humans are free and responsible for their own actions, in a world without meaning. Moreover, Soren Kierkegaard provides a broader definition where he defines that existentialism is a rejection of all purely abstract thinking, of a purely logical or scientific philosophy. In short, a rejection of absoluteness of reason. Both existentialism and absurdism agrees on the meaninglessness and purposelessness of the life. Existentialism is a way theists like Kierkegaard view and deal with life's meaninglessness, where they believe one has a duty to find meaning and purpose or goal of life. On the other hand, absurdism is an atheist version of existentialism, which Beckett and Camus believe that one not only realizes the meaninglessness of night but continues to living it with the forsake of living. Jean-Paul Sartre believed that human beings live in constant anguish, not solely because life is miserable, but because we are condemned to be free. Sartre's theory, existentialism, states that existence precedes essence. That is only by existing and acting certain way to we where do we give meaning to our lives. In the play Waiting for Godot, the Vladimir and Astagron are waiting for someone known as Godot. Why does who does not make appearance throughout the play? So there are dialogues like Estragon is saying, "Let's go," but we can't. Estragon, why not? Because we are going. We are waiting for Godot. Oh, the play opens with them continuing with them waiting, continuing from them waiting, and they are tedious of waiting, but still they are waiting, and throughout the play they are waiting only. But why are they waiting? Maybe because they are waiting for that. But as we see in this dialogue, that what do we do now while waiting? So Estragon says, "What about hanging ourselves?" But they are not hanging themselves. In this conversation, we see that they are trying to hang themselves, but they are not doing. After the conversation, we can conclude that they they are not waiting for death, but they could be waiting for someone like God. They could be, if Godot is God, then they must be waiting for God because they have no existence. So they must be looking for salvation because, like, once they had some respect, they do not have anywhere to return. Like Vladimir says that hand in hand from top of the Eiffel Tower among the first, we were respectable in those days. Now it's too late. They wouldn't even let us up. So like in the past, they have some respect, but they do not have any respect now. So they are just hanging around waiting for someone, just like in the novel An Artist of the Floating World, where Masuji Ono had a respect in the before the war, but after the war he lost every respect. These are the works.
Yes. So questions. Who are asking questions? You flap little bit down. You'll have to do the flap of the laptop.
Nilay, how did how did externalism begin? How did existentialism begin?
Okay, so I don't know exact what is the answer, but I can give you that before the 19th century, World War One and World War Two. Before that, everything was going in flow. We can say that, but after these world wars, the society and the world broke. So nobody knows what to do. So maybe perhaps because of that, everybody would try to find meaning in their lives.
My question is, how does waiting for Godot reflect on the existentialist view of human reality?
Okay, so existentialism view is that human being are trying to find meaning, their meaning in life, what they are born for, what are they going to do. So like waiting for Godot, Estragon and Vladimir are doing nothing but waiting. Like I said, they are, if they are waiting for God, they are seeking salvation, or they are seeking death. So they have no existence, so they must be seeking death.
Okay, so the next one now.
Is it visible on the screens? Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So it is the second day of my presentation and season. Uh, First, I have chosen the topic from the novel written by George Orwell, which is 1984. And the topic of my presentation of today is the purpose of Newspeak Dictionary. So, what was the purpose, and basically what the Newspeak Dictionary is? In fact, let us see. So here is the informative slide about the novel. 1984, also published as 1984 novel by English author George Orwell, published in 1949. So it was after the aftermath of the Second World War, and it depicts the totalitarian society and how it functions and what are the horrors of being in such society in kleptocracy. And supposedly we are focusing on this slide in the deceptive and manipulative use of the language, and then how one uses, how especially the politician uses the language to fleece out the masses. For a general example, I would give that how distortion of language happens. Suppose in, in 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 Gujarati we have that word fadar, sorry farad we have. So it is the clear example that it was in Sanskrit. It is the original word is fal ahar. So when you are fasting, you have to rely only on these fruits. But now, being a prince, or we can say being distorted version of this is Fadahar. And now this business company are not stepping back to take avail of that, our verbal policy. And we know that we are having these packets. We all are aware of that. So it is the clear stark example of distortion of language. And how even a changing of word, even a single comma, it will lead to a kind of very destruction in all the things. So here you will see some of the glimpses that thought police is there and Inksock, and these three slogans are mentioned. Big Brother is watching you is the very famous line of quoted line. And Hate Week is also the propaganda, all kinds of technological wealth and totalitarianism. And this is the picture of the author George Orwell, and it's the novel's front page poster. Now let us move ahead. So it is the Newspeak dictionary. We are just going to read the highlighted lines only because it will be kind of a bulky thing. The Ministry of Truth, Minitru, and Newspeak. So it invents. So how does the Newspeak comes in existence? It is invented by this Ministry of Truth, where the Saimi, the one of the characters of this novel, is working. Okay, so now all that was needed was an unending series of victories over your own memory. So how languages overpower our memory? So the use of languages is focused here. Reality control, they called it Newspeak, double thing that we have two ideas, two contrary ideas in our minds, but yet we are functioning with both of them. Suppose somebody says I don't like this, and at the same time in his or her mind he can say I like this. So he or she functioning with both of these ideas. So it is double thing, and the very famous example is of that. Uh, this Winston is made to he was rather forced by punishment of room 101 that you have to love people. You don't need to pretend that you love, but you have to really love. So you can see this kind of penetration deep till the emotional regime of a character. And in the fifth chapter, we can say in the fifth chapter, the mention of Saimi is found. So how Saimi mentions about the Newspeak dictionary in the fifth chapter of the novel is found that Saimi was a philologist, a specialist in Newspeak. Indeed, he was one of the enormous team of experts now engaged in compiling the 11th edition of the Newspeak dictionary. It means that 10 editions were there before this edition. So it was 11th edition. So we can know this time lapse how long these people are subdued by this play of words. And now it is the another let us see how the distortion of word happens. Suppose here so in the same aforementioned chapter, so in the fifth chapter the dialogue occurs between Winston and Saimi regarding Newspeak dictionary. So we have that sequence in movie. We have seen this Saimi and Winston both are sitting in the oak tree kind of cafe, and they both are discussing some things. It is about this that Saimi speaks take good as a word. For instance, if you have a word like good, what need is there for a word like bad? So it curtails our powers. That suppose we have that. Suppose we have to criticize this false propaganda or this exploiting policy, but we don't find word because words or the language is something that it is very much preferred means to express the human feelings. So they are curtailing words. That is why the importance of this dictionary remains here. So curtailing word becomes to enslaving the people. And bad, so ungood. So instead of bad, it is kind of very harsh word if we taken in context of this novel. So instead of that, you will use ungood, will do just as well, better, because it's an exact opposite which the other is not. It is called euphemism, right? Euphemism, ungood. So being a bit more polite than what is harsh. So euphemism is also used. We can see. Let us move ahead. So it is now the purpose of Newspeak dictionary. So what was the basic purpose? As we discussed, it was to curtail the minds of people and thinking process of them so that they cannot criticize the government and their policy. The main purpose of Newspeak dictionary was to curtail the freedom of speech. So as somebody was talking that for freedom, that one of that freedom of speech, and so it was curtailed by the Newspeak dictionary by degrading the standard of words, as we said, good and ungood, and by lesser down and by this degrading the number of words as well, and suppress the people of Inksock state who oppose the policies and propagandas of the party led by Big Brother. So it is symbolic representation of the language which is limited. So the language which is limited. So one thing is that suppose if we take the English language for example, then we can say it is the language of thriving, constant thriving language. So that it became global language. Why did it become a global language? Because it has the quality and flexibility. It is in their nature. Suppose time and again these new words are coming up in this language. So it is kind of a, just flowing language. So anything that flows will remain constant. But this is the language which is limited, proposed by so the existence of this Newspeak dictionary will remain only on only within the time limit when this government is ruling the things of party. So now, why this limitation is happening is in order to repress revolt. So whoever is revolting, obviously they will not have good words for the government. So to repress their revolt, they will have to curtail the words. They will have to remove the bad words, which can be used to criticize the government. So it is the purpose. And another thing is dwindle down the free speech of the subjects. Now we have seen 85% are the only proles, 2% only are the government official, and 31 are sorry 13% are government official, and 2% are only against this the party of the big brother. So 85% people are pros who do not even know whom they are being ruled by. So dwindle down the free speech of the subjects, eventually making them obey. So making them obey what the tyrants say and command. Suppose we can remember that Wilfred owns that war poet Dulcet decorum, yes. So there is a last stanza occurring that we can say how this old lies. He mentions of this old lie. This lie is that there is a stanza that my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to the children ardent for some desperate glory. Now, this old lie dulls et decorum est pra patria mori. So, these people will tell you that, okay, these three slogans, war is peace. So, it is the old lie. To die for your own country, it is the old lie. It will bring you good, it will bring you this kind of fame. It is not so, but it will bring the disaster and death instead. So, it is the old lie. We can refer to also that Wilfred Owen's poetry, dulls et decorum est. Now, we can illustrate it by the point of view of Saimi. Saimi is a kind of crooked character in this novel, as he finds pleasure in destruction of words. So he says in one of the conversations that, okay, I like to destruct the word and destroy the words. Opposite to the liberal and flexible, as we have mentioned earlier, that opposite to the liberal and flexible nature of any thriving language. So it is the thriving language like English. It is constantly thriving. So that is why it became the global language. Why not any other language in the world? It is constantly thriving and is taking word from every other region. And Lang, now he is a critic. Lang states that language, in other words, is a mirror of society and its history, arguing that if one can control the language, so as we have in the 1984, if one controls the past, controls the present, and if one controls the present, controls the future. So it is that one can control society by just controlling the language. See this minute aspect of our daily life, this language. If you control somebody's language, you can rule over them. So we have to be aware of this language, which by and large, mostly I learned from this novel. And thus, the control of language is ultimately the final step to a perfected totalitarian power. So it is that. So you will find any totalitarian leader or any autocrat like Adolf Hitler is there. So they are using it. They are very much excelled at making first chance, or you can say that fake speeches, or whom they will be accepted by these emotionally susceptible people. That you will have to tell only towards, they will just fume on that. So it is the thing. It is the danger of this thing. And now I have taken some critical review, and Tom CP argues that Orwell's appendix on Newspeak suggests that Orwell also provides the appendix at the end of the novel about this dictionary, suggests that the relation between words and their meaning are one-to-one correspondences. So words and their meaning, as we have seen in this Fadahar and Falahar. So how this difference can be seen? So it is the word and their meaning. So if you distort even a single comma or anything, then the whole meaning will be distorted. Because if Birel Lang maintains having a limited vocabulary will limit one's worldview, because if we lack the means to formulate or think of an idea, it is likely that we also will accept the world for what it is. Right. So whatever is told to you, if you do not have many further expression or the means for your expression further, you will be limited. Suppose I tell you that 2 plus 2 is only 5, then you will not think of 2 plus 2. Why can't it be 4? So it is the suppression. Unless you are a thinking mind, it is the another matter. Right. So you have that spirit, as George Bernard Shaw says, question, exam, and test. You must keep this spirit with you. Only then and then you will have that civic sense rather. So it is kind of aimed at here. And Jean-Jacques Coutin, among others, argues that totalitarian regimes aim to keep people under surveillance. As with Big Brother is watching you in every part, even in their home, there are cameras and surveillance devices. and control that is both visible and invincible. With Newspeak, this control is the unseen one that is unconsciously establishing itself in the citizens of Oceania. So unconsciously establishing the power. So they are not directly told that okay, we are giving you this dictionary and by that you will have to follow. No, we are just proposing this dictionary, and in all the field you have to use this dictionary also, and the word used by this dictionary also can be, you can say, authenticated by the authorities. So authorities obviously goes of the this totalitarian state. It is that, and so this is the propaganda as well. His research argues that, of whom's research Jean Jacques quoting, that the limitation in language will limit the room for the resistance of totalitarian regimes, stating power must thus become master of language, since language is the living memory of man and offers him a space for inner resistance. So resistance comes. Suppose you have the feeling of resistance towards somebody, and how will you express that? By language. And suppose you don't have that language, you don't have that word. How will you express this? Right. So basic aspect is the language, and these people are working on that language to control the things. Stephen Blackmore further expands on what the process of the reduction of a language looks like, and argues these changes mean that the inner party will never stop working on fixing or rather destroying the language, because the satisfaction of eliminating individual thought will never be fulfilled. So anybody who wants to rule forever and wants their progeny to rule upon these people, they will keep on fixing or rather destroying the words. They will keep on controlling the language. They will not provide more room to people so that they express their mental anguish toward any other thing. So it is the characteristic of totalitarian government. And it's the summing government. So I have taken several memes here so that I can delineate it further in a good sequence. So very first is who controls the past, controls the future, who controls the present, controls the past. Now, what is that? What does that mean basically? Who controls the past means who controls the history, who controls, rather who presents the history in front of these ignorant people in a distorted version, right? Controls the future. Now these kind of people will be leader of them because they are taking shelter of history but in a distorting manner. And who controls the present controls the past. Now controlling present by the help of history, it is the controlling present, and controls the past. So it is the controlling past because I hope you are getting that if you present any distorted version of any kind of historical topic, then you are presenting in present, but you are controlling the past, right? It is the unjustful thing. Another thing we are right now seeing that in Taliban. So this freedom of speech, and this guy is telling something just doing some. There is written something very minute. Okay, just doing something. It is like the freedom of speech is being erased by the pencil, and here is the man with lock on his mouth. And it is the social media, as we say that if you are speaking something which is not liked by, and which is even true, and it is not liked by the government, they will block your Twitter account, as we have the famous example of Parul Kakkar. Rather, I don't want to go further into that matter, but it is the live example of that. So by controlling social media, you can curtail one's language and their freedom of speech. And the last one is that if liberty means anything at all, so if you want to give liberty to your people, then it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear, right? Because if we hear our sentiment, we'll get hurt. It is not so big. We have to listen to truths. Now, concluding the topic, we can safely say that by putting the concept of Newspeak dictionary, Orwell has provided a new insight. So, a new insight. Before that, nobody was having that concept that we can control, or these people can be also controlled by the language. So, Orwell provides this new insight in his novel 1984, for looking into the minute things which construct the totalitarian ruling government. The making of Newspeak dictionary, it is equalized by the forming up of limited and polite language. So, Biril Lang rightly states that language, in other words, is a mirror of society and its history. So, whatever we have as a history or literature, whatever, it is by the means of the language. So, language remains very crucial or very a kind of cornerstone in our day-to-day life. So, it was the thing. So, here are my resources.
Okay, so questions. So he's asking Nilay.
Nirav, my question is how destruction of word is a beautiful thing.
So your question is how destruction of word is a beautiful thing. Well, we have to keep in mind it is spoken by the sly or crooked character Saimi. Right, Saimi is one of the member of this Ministry of Truth organization. It is run by the inner party of the Big Brother. So for him, it is good or it is the beautiful thing to destruction of word. So which is not a good thing. If you just remove a word, right, for the sake of your good thing, it is not good thing. It is spoken by that person. So we have to keep in mind the context of by whom it is spoken. So it is beautiful only by the crooked and sly people who want to support this totalitarian or kleptocratic government. Right. So I hope you have got your answer. Or,
There is another
yeah,
question.
please do.
So my question, another question is why party members are forcing Wilson to love Big
Yes.
Brother? Why
See,
forcing? Like,
yeah, I'm getting that. Your question is that why these party members are forcing only Winston to, not only, but Winston to allow Big Brother, right? So, suppose they don't want to keep any room of a kind of opposition. Suppose if they leave them, okay, we want to leave. If you want to do whatever you want, whether you want to love or you don't want to love, but if they do, and they will have the kind of insecurity. If this person does something that this person brings revolution by trolls, by because this is an official person, so he knows everything about the party and how government functions, right? That the decreasement in kgs or sugar, and we know all the things. So that is why particularly upon this Winston, the punishment of Room 101 is given because he knows everything, and that is why it is even perhaps I'm not sure in our Indian army it is that if you are using a dog for spying on the other's territory, then the dog after doing the mission after a year, the dog will be killed because it is kind of that kind of insecurity thing. Suppose this dog will be taken by this party, and this dog will be knowing everything about this side. So that is why he is being forced by these people to love Big Brother, not by just pretension, but by heart. Okay. So I hope you have got your answer. Okay. Let me.
My question is, how does
Let
Newspeak affect the society?
wait. Who is asking? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Now you ask.
How does Newspeak affect the society?
Your question is how does newspeak affect the society? So I have been telling that it is the role of language which plays major role in shaping ideas and thinking process of the people, right? So that is why society means what? Society means the group of people of a certain kind. We call it society. So suppose if you want to control them, you have to hit on the basic aspect which is language and which is hit by this newspeak dictionary. Right, you have to control words. You have to curtail their expression. That is why it is very good means or not good, very a kind of say very basic means to control the society, control the people. That is why the very much effect of this newspeak dictionary is upon the society, yeah, especially of the INSOC if we keep the context of this novel. Satisfied or something else also. Anybody? Yes. Hey, hold on. I'm just muting this.
Nirav, you think as a journalist, Winston was a helpless or a coward? Like he can run or fight against Big Brother, but as a journalist, he didn't.
See, one thing is sir was telling that the Winston was looking upon the lady marching. In the novel, the word is used, the lady marching on the clothes line. So perhaps he's imagining because Winston was a government official and the only 30% of this progeny around of the oceanic state was only of the government official, 30%. So suppose if only Winston arouses the protest, nobody is going to support him because it's a complete kleptocracy or a totalitarian society, right? So Winston seems to be a cowardice. An element of cowardice is seen in his character. But the hope from the proles or these proletarians, right? So he hopes for that, and as a you can say what is that journalist? Yes, journalist. He's supposed to be inside of truth, but he's not doing anything. So a little element of cowardice as well as hope is seen in his character. Are right? Satisfied or something else? Ask anybody else if you want. Okay.
Okay, so next presenter now.
Thank you.
Make this camera slightly down.
Hello everyone. Today my name is Sangita Kantariya. I am presented a W.H.Auden poem Musee des Broken Arts. W.H.Auden is a British American poet. Auden, always a prolific writer of prose, essays, and review on literary, political, psychological, and religion subject, and he worked at various times on documentary films, poetics play, and other form of performance. Auden published about 400 poems, including 7 long poems. He always also wrote more than 400 essays and review about literature, history, politicals, music, religions, and many other subjects. He won the Pulitzer Prize for poetry for his 1947 long poem, The Age of Anxiety, the title of which became a popular, perhaps describing the modern era. The Auden's poem's theme is love, religion, politics, and social contents, city life, citizenship, war, death, and modern horrors. The Musée des Beaux Arts is a French meaning of Museum of Fine Arts. The major theme of general message of the poem is about the nature of human suffering. The speaker in the poem reflect on the work of the old master, reflecting to European painter. Auden is particularly impressed by how artists from past century capture this idea in their paintings by showing the activi- actives of people and animals around the margins of the main subject of the painting. The poem show how valuable fine arts are for a culture. The second stanza of poem Alden point to Peter Blugate paintings depicting the mythological story of Shakespeare I as an example, where their young boy falls from the sky into the sea. The other figures is the painting, the plumage and a ship seem to move on with their lives at unpredictable. This poem are suffering word used this suffering including in the poem unfaithfulness, sickness, time, greed, religions, war, and another hardship. The moral point viewpoint in this poem recalls Hardy's in his poem In Time of the Breaking of Nation. Hardy em- emphasized that people go on with their prime occupation and usual even when war breaking nation
into peace and bringing out about revolutionary change in the social setup. The conclusion is the poem focus on human suffering, tragedy, and pain by constructive the life of those who and those who do not. This is my reference. Thank you.
Okay, questions. Your topic is very good, but you are not able to explore it in a better way. Painting and the poem. It's a very interesting topic, that how a poet is writing a poem based on uh, a very interesting painting and giving it a modernist rendering also. But you still would have thought deeply about this topic. Okay, yes. So who are asking the questions? Yes, who is it? Nirav?
Okay, so Sangita, my question to you is that how does W.H.Auden how does W.H.Auden catch the emotions of characters depicted in his poems? As we have painters like Raja Ravi Verma, as Sir was telling on that, they can catch the emotions of the characters, right, in the novel by showing certain kind of that kind of painting traits. So how Odin captures the emotions of the characters depicted in his poems is. Thank you.
W.H. Auden is a created emotion in the poem. He wrote many poems that this poem are based on paintings. So paintings described in this poem. So paintings are emotional view, the describing of views. That's why.
Sangita, my question is what is the meaning of nature of human suffering? Like what is the nature of human suffering?
The meaning of nature of human suffering and nature is a mind of elements of the suffering like earthquake and cyclones where it is nature are the suffering of human beings. So I think there is a meaning of that.
That nature and this nature is different. That nature, cyclone nature is different, and nature of suffering means different. Nature is not nature. What will you use the word Gujarati word for nature? Hmm? Not so about લાક્ષણિકતા સફરિંગની લાક્ષણિકતા નેચર ઓફ સફરિંગ અને કુદરત નેચર એટલે જુદું નેચર હ્યુમન નેચર હોય તો માનવ સ્વભાવ પણ આવે એમાં સો નેચર હેઝ many like shades of variety of meanings. Okay, next, last one for the day. Yes, you get ready. By that time, I give feedback to the last one, that was Nirav's presentation. Okay. So it was well prepared. Slides were quite well prepared. And good combination of image and the text was put, which many of you can also learn about making a combination of text as well as relevant image in the slides. And you can also use different colors of fonts to highlight something. You have started sharing. Just a minute. Now, don't share right now. Okay. Okay. So this you have to see. That was good. The resources are here. These are the resources. Now, if you want to score full points and you want to do proper citations, then what you have to do is like you referred here many critics, critical review. Tom Shippey, Beryl Lang, uh, Stephen Blackmore, Jean Jacques, Cortin. Now, where are they saying all these things? They are not found in the citation. So I want to go to S to see where Shippey has written this. But in S, I do not find anybody there. Shippey is not found there. So that is how from here, what you are referring, you are taking down into work citation also. That is what is the well integrated sources. If you integrate, then this, and you have to say where and how, in what manner these reviews are given. That is necessary to be given. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. So now, yes, Vachchalata, you can start now. This screen is not visible. Full screen. Have you made it? Then share this tab instead. Yes. Now it is loading.
Is it visible now? Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to present my presentation on an elegy in memory of Yeats with some other elegies by right from the uh, maybe age of Chaucer. A very little light on introduction of poet. Auden's poetry was noted for its stylistic and technical achievements, its engagement with politics, morals, love, and religion, and its variety in tone from content. W.H.Auden's poem in memory of Yeats, it was written in 1939 when William Butler Yeats, from the famous Irish poet and dramatist, died. What is elegy? So elegy, which is written on a death, or we can say a death poetry, is named as elegy. And we have two different types of elegy: a pastoral elegy and elegy. Pastoral elegy carries rustic life. We can say we can connect to nature, family, and friends. Several elegies and poets. Thomas Gray's Elegy written in Country Churchyard. Elegy written in Country's Churchyard is written by Thomas Gray in 19th century, and it is written on his death of one of his Walt Whitman's When Lilacs Last in Dooryard and Bloomed. So this elegy is written in the death for the death of Abraham Lincoln, President of U.S. In when President of U.S. dies, this Walt was leaving from his home and he saw flowers, lilacs glooming. So he gave the title Lilacs. John Milton's ECDS. So this elegy is considered as best of elegies, and this is a pastoral elegy. This is written for Arthur Cog's death in and John Milton was returning this when he died, and he he said that Arthur Cog was died because of drawn by when his sheep's drawn into a coaster near seashore. P.B. Shelley's Adonis. Now, P.B. Shelley is a writer of Romantic Age, and he wrote this elegy on his co poet, we can say, on Keats, John Keats, when he was died. And Adonis, if we can say, what is the reference of this title? Adonis, it is a Greek myth that when the goddess of love, Aphrodite, fall in love with a boy named Adonis. That boy dies while hunting and wild boar, and when Zeus saw Aphrodite grieving over that lost, he gave the power to Adonis to come for 6 months to live with Aphrodite. So Adonis is a myth. Adonis is a myth related with Adonis. Matthew Arnold, Tiresias. This this elegy is written by Matthew Arnold for uh, King Edward when he was died, and I think this is also a pastoral elegy. These are the pictures of elegies cover pages. Elegy written in country churchyard. These are the slides I have given the story writings. And now elegy written by Auden towards Yeats. Uh, this is the elegy. I compared all the elegies with this, and I found that right from beginning, from John Milton to Auden, we we are coming towards the Victorian age to the 20th century and end of the era. There were several Greek mythologies, then in Victorian age, and then in 19th century, and then in this poem, this is a as a named elegy. But I found that Auden's poem has an idea that when Yeats died, I think he's disappeared somewhere in that fog of air, because he is trying to say that he is immortal by his works. So he thinks he is disappeared, not a died. So I think elegy is, I think, in compared to other elegies, this is not that much perfect elegy written by Auden. These are my citations. Thank you.
So you need to work on your citations. These are not proper way of putting it. So keep on improving. So by the end of the fifth day, also you can start making it in a correct way. Okay, who is asking questions? Sangita, where is it? Okay.
My question is an elegy always about death?
Yes, and elegy is there is only one meaning of elegy, which is related to death. When someone's died, and we can say appreciator or influencer write about that person's death is known as an elegy.
Who is next one to ask? Question is
Vachchalata. My question to you is that something that can you find and compare the genre similar to elegy in any of Indian language? So, do you have any kind of reference to the Indian language this kind of elegy is written? Or we have the Gujarati word Madasiya. So, can you remember if you just deep down by your readings, Gujarati readings as well? So, you can cite, so we can know the feelings of the characters lived in a particular time and we can know something better more about it. So,
Yes, I
how
was prepared for this question actually. You said Indian language or reference. So, same as that Greek mythology, we have that one idea of Savitri. Savitri died, Savitri's husband died, and his husband Satyavan came back. So, this is an elegy, or as you said, it is related to myth. Elegy is also refers to myth. So, yeah.
Okay, so with that, we end our today's session. The feedback is given in between, so there is no need to give any more feedback at the end of the day. Okay, and I hope you will work on the suggestions which are given. And tomorrow we will have the next third presentation on American literature. Wish you all the best for the third day. Don't forget to evaluate yourself and your classmate, and also the timestamp which is to be given. The link is already given. So start giving the timestamp as soon as this live streaming is ending. Within 30 minutes, you can start giving the timestamp also. Thank you, all of you.